If you've ever stood in your garden, stared at a patch of lifeless, pale, dusty soil, and wondered, is this even worth saving? Trust me, you're not alone. Here on Soilpower, we talk a lot about ancient techniques, creative soil boosters, and making the most of what nature gives us. Today, I want to show you something exciting, something real, something that proves dead soil is never the end of the story. I've spent years experimenting with different amendments: compost, manures, biochar, seaweed extract, rock dust, humic acids, the list goes on, but over and over again, one simple ingredient has stood out for speed, power, affordability, and reliability. It turns dusty, depleted dirt into dark, crumbly, living ground, teeming with microbial life. And the best part? Almost every gardener can get it cheaply, easily, and quickly. So, what's the ingredient? Finished compost. Sounds simple, right? But here's the thing. Most gardeners underestimate compost, especially proper, fully decomposed compost. Not the bagged stuff full of fillers and peat. Not half-rotted piles still heating up. Not old manure alone. I'm talking about rich, mature compost full of stable organic matter and thriving microbial life. When you apply it correctly, compost isn't just fertilizer. It's soil resurrection. Let's dig in. Dead soil isn't mysterious or rare. It happens when organic matter gets stripped away by erosion, pesticides, tilling, or, just plain neglect. With the organic matter gone, soil life collapses, microbes disappear, fungi die off, minerals become chemically locked, water drains too fast, or sometimes not at all. Plants starve, then fail. Eventually, what was once living ground becomes a dry powder, literally dust. But compost reverses that collapse faster than anything else because it restores what dead soil lacks: carbon biology structure and moisture retention. Think of a compost particle like a tiny apartment building. Inside are bacteria, fungi, actinomycetes, protozoa, microscopic workers that transform soil chemistry. Outside, there are porous spaces that soak up water-hold nutrients and lock them into a stable form. When compost hits depleted soil, the biology wakes up instantly. Suddenly, nitrogen becomes available, roots grow deeper, earthworms return, water stays put, the soil softens, texture improves, humus builds, even the color changes. The lifeless gray turns darker, then richer, until it reaches that near-black living soil shade every gardener dreams of. And the process begins immediately. Many soil amendments work, but, slowly. Rock dust can take months, biochar takes prep time, mulch takes seasons, manure takes care. None of them transform dead soil fast on their own. Compost is different because it gives the soil everything it needs at once: nutrients, biology, and structure. Within days of application, moisture begins to hold. Within weeks, microbial populations explode. Within a month or two, poor soil can look visibly transformed, especially when combined with plant roots. Yes, compost works at lightning speed, but only when used correctly, and that's where the magic happens. Here's something I've learned working with my audience on Soilpower. Most gardeners use compost like fertilizer, lightly, sparingly, nervously, a thin sprinkle here, a light dust there, then they wonder why nothing changes. Dead soil needs a shock therapy dose, a full reboot. If your soil is dry, dusty, pale, and compacted, aim for a 3 to 5 centimeter, or about 1 to 2 inch, layer of finished compost spread across the surface. Don't dig it in deeply. Don't till it. Just let it sit on top like a skin. So, why does surface spreading actually work? Well, when compost stays right on top, microbes sort of migrate downward all on their own, tunneling into the soil structure without tearing it apart. Rain and irrigation, they help carry nutrients even deeper. The soil, it just reforms naturally. And honestly, in just a few weeks, even really hard soil starts to loosen up. Give it a few months and the improvement is undeniable. This transformation, it really lasts, because compost doesn't just feed the soil, it builds it. The power of compost, it really depends on its maturity. Immature compost, well, it's still breaking down, and that process actually steals nitrogen from your plants. Finished compost, on the other hand, gives nitrogen back. So, how do you tell the difference? Look for these signs. Finished compost smells like earth, not ammonia or manure. It crumbles easily, kind of like chocolate cake. There shouldn't be any visible scraps or straw left. It should feel cool, not warm. And when you squeeze a handful, it stays together, then falls apart. If it passes that test, it's ready and powerful. Here's the part that most gardeners never see. Compost doesn't just sit there and look pretty. It actually triggers a chain reaction beneath the soil surface that brings dead soil roaring back to life. Microbes begin consuming organic matter and releasing nutrients. Fungi form these networks around roots. This increases nutrient uptake and improves drought tolerance. Channels open up for air and water, and the soil, it clumps into aggregates, tiny, stable structures that really help roots grow straight through. And then comes the moment that, honestly, changes everything. Earthworms return. Earthworms are nature's soil engineers, mixing, aerating, and fertilizing from below. They appear within just a few weeks when conditions improve. They are the sign that the soil is truly alive again. And, all of this happens from compost. One ingredient, one step. Most gardeners notice the first visible changes in under 30 days. Dry soil holds moisture longer, water infiltration improves, mulch breaks down faster, leaves seem greener, weeds pull out more easily. Within a full growing season, the transformation can be dramatic. Richer color, deeper topsoil, stronger plant roots, and yields that are measurably higher. Even crops that once struggled, tomatoes, peppers, beans, corn, grow greener and produce better. And here's the best part, once soil comes back to life, it actually gets easier to maintain. Compost lays a foundation that persists year after year. Even a small annual top-up keeps soil thriving. Adding compost alone works, but combining compost with plant roots, well, that really supercharges the process. Nothing boosts microbial activity like living roots, even if those roots belong to simple cover crops. To get faster results, just go ahead and seed something into the compost layer. Buckwheat, clover, peas, oats, whatever suits the season really. As those plants grow, they send sugars into the soil, attracting microbes and accelerating decomposition. When you cut those plants down and let the roots rot, you add even more carbon. The result? Dark, moist, fertile soil up to 10 times faster. You don't need a fancy compost system to get started. In a pinch you can buy finished compost in bags, but if you have access to leaves, grass clippings, kitchen scraps, wood chips, straw, or manure, you can start making your own today. Just remember, fast composting comes from balancing moisture, carbon, and nitrogen. Slow composting comes from piling and waiting. Both work, but finished is what matters, and once you have it, every square meter of your garden becomes a lot more forgiving. Dead soil discourages gardeners. It makes you feel like you're fighting nature. But the truth is, soil wants to live. Soil wants to rebuild. Soil wants roots, microbes, moisture, and carbon. Give it compost and it takes off. On Soilpower, our mission is to help gardeners unlock that transformation. Because once you see soil change, you change. You stop thinking like a plant owner and start thinking like a soil builder. That shift is powerful, it's permanent, and it spreads. That's why one ingredient, compost, can feel like magic. But really, it's biology, and once you see it working in your own soil, you'll never go back. If you're staring at a patch of dead, dusty ground right now, don't give up. Spread finished compost thick and generous. Water deeply. Let nature do the rest. Then watch. This is transformation gardening. Real, visible, measurable change. I promise you, this works. I've watched it happen in countless gardens, in every climate, on every soil type. Compost revives soil because compost is soil. And if you try this, I want to see your results. Share your soil story in the comments. Tell others what happened. Spread the knowledge. And if you found this article helpful, make sure you subscribe to Soilpower and share it with another gardener who needs hope. Together, we're not just growing plants, we're rebuilding soil.